What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I want to show you this clip. This is Senator Rick Scott. He's going to be talking about this Inflation Reduction Act, and the Senate just passed this bill, so it's going to be moving to the House, and it looks like the House will convene on Friday. They'll vote for this bill. They'll approve this bill, and then it'll go to the president. But I want you to hear Senator Scott's arguments, okay? Because, and I might break this up into separate videos because he talks about things, and I want to actually get in there and talk a little bit about what he's saying, because this is something that we should all be paying attention to. Senator Rick Scott, before he put out his 12-point plan, and a part of this plan, this 12-point plan, attacked Social Security. It wanted people on Social Security to pay taxes. It wanted everybody to pay taxes. Everyone needs to have skin in the game. It also wanted to sunset Social Security in 5 years. So basically, every 5 years, the government would have to figure out, so Congress would have to figure out, should they move forward with Social Security? Should they move forward with Medicare? Any government program, they wanted to have this stipulation in there that they need to revisit these different programs every 5 years, which might sound like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good thing to do. But when we look at how Congress works and how every year they're trying to move forward with a budget, so every year they have to reconvene and figure out what they're going to do for the budget. We're going to see this in September. They're going to be arguing about how to move forward with the budget, and we're going to come to the 11th hour, and then they'll probably pass a continued resolution so they can pass it down the road for another couple months. And it's just a disaster, because we've seen situations where the government's been shut down because they couldn't come up with a budget. So could you imagine if they wanted to do this for all government programs? It would be an absolute nightmare. And first off, politicians don't work enough. They don't work enough in order to get this done. Every 5 years, they would have to convene. They're on recess every month. Okay, they're on recess right now. The Senate will be going on recess. The House is on recess right now. The House will return on Friday. So this would be an absolute disaster. But I want to show you this clip because I just want to show you how Senator Rick Scott plans, or like how he feels about this whole bill and his arguments against it. Like I said, I'll probably have to break this up into separate videos because I have a lot to say about what he is talking about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, on this channel, we talk about money and the financial struggles that Americans are facing today. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so let's get right to the clip. And as always, right before we open this clip up, I do want to talk a little bit about premieres. I'm trying to do as many premieres as possible. If I have a video that's 15 minutes or longer, I will be doing a premiere on that video. Please, if you guys come in on a premiere, make sure you hit the like button as soon as you come in. That helps YouTube know that the premiere started, and then they will promote it out to more people, okay? So please do that when you see a premiere. If you guys don't know what a premiere is, it's basically we're watching the video together, and I'm in the chat, and I'm answering questions, and I'm talking with you guys. So there's just more interaction when it comes down to it. So premieres on videos that are 15 minutes or longer. Let's go ahead and get into this video. Here we go.
We go now to Capitol Hill and Florida Senator Rick Scott, who is in between votes on the Senate floor. He's also the head of the Republican Senate Campaign Committee, working to retake control of the Senate. Senator Scott, good morning. I know you have been up all night, so I appreciate you joining this morning.
I hope I'm coherent.
Well, no matter what, it does not look like there is any way to stop what is expected to be a very big win here for Democrats. And I know you're opposed to it, but I want to press you on that, because isn't expanding Medicare access good for a state like yours, which has more residents reliant on the Affordable Care Act than any other state? And Republicans like reducing the deficit. The CBO says this will reduce it by $100 billion over the next decade. Isn't there some good stuff in here for you, too?
So, Margaret, here's the way I look at it. Right now, this bill actually ought to be called the War on Seniors Act. I mean, this is a war on Medicare. You look at this. This is a $280 billion cut in Medicare. So what's going to happen is Medicare is going to get cut, and there's going to be seniors that don't get life-saving drugs because the pharmaceutical industries will not be able to have to.
Reducing Medicare costs is not the same as reducing benefits, though. You know that.
Margaret, it's $280 billion that would have been spent. It was anticipated to be spent. It's not going to be spent now. And the drug companies that would be doing more research are not going to be able to spend the money on research. There will be life-saving drugs that seniors will not get.
Okay, so we have to let me let me switch to my main screen here, because we have to talk about this, and I just want to talk about the first portion of what he's talking about when it comes to this $280 billion that will be cut from Medicare. That's basically what he's saying. It's they're not going to have this money anymore is what he's saying. But his argument, you have to listen to his argument, because what he is saying is that Medicare will save $280 billion because they will now be able to negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical companies, directly with the pharmaceutical companies, okay? Now, we've talked about this before, and just understand, pharmaceutical companies, you have the pharmaceutical companies, you have the middlemen, and then you have the insurance companies. So the middlemen, they're the ones that are negotiating prices, but they are getting a rebate from the pharmaceutical company. So just to give you an example of how it works, let's say it's the drug costs $100. The prescription medication costs $100. Okay, so what the pharmaceutical company will say is, okay, we have a middleman that's in between, so we can't charge the insurance company $100. We have to charge the insurance company $150. And that $150, that extra $50, that's a rebate that goes to the middleman. Okay, the middlemen are the ones that are negotiating everything, right? And so they get that $50, and then the insurance company pays $150 total. Okay, now that cost gets transitioned over to you. That's how it works. And so we're paying more because we're paying for this middleman. If we weren't paying for the middleman, if you had insurance companies like Medicare directly negotiating with the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmaceutical company doesn't have to charge $150. They can now charge $100 because they don't have the middleman anymore. And that's what they're trying to do. Now, right now, it's only 10 drugs right now. That's all they're talking about, and it's not going to go into effect until 2026. So the reality is they need to do more, but this is a step in the right direction. But what Senator Scott is saying is he's saying because you're going to be saving money, because Medicare will be saving money, that's a $280 billion cut. No, that's $280 billion that Medicare now has to spend on other things. That's what that is. And so he's not telling you that. He's just saying this is a cut because this money won't be spent on prescription medication. Well, it doesn't need to be spent on prescription medication. If you can negotiate the price down, why would you pay more? So the logic there is just, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so when you have that extra $280 billion, that can go to the solvency of Medicare, that can go to other programs. That's what they can use that money for. So it makes sense to negotiate. If I'm in a situation where, let's say I'm in Columbia now, I go to a vendor to buy a hat. You know, you can go on the street and buy hats. I bought a bunch of them. You can see them in the background right here. But let's say they tell me the initial price is $20. I negotiate it down to $10. So now I have a hat for $10. I'm saving money. Now I have an extra $10 that I can spend on something else. But he's looking at that as, no, Medicare is now being cut by $280 billion. It's absolutely, the logic there is just, I mean, he's saying this with a straight face, but he has to know this is a ridiculous argument that I'm making. The argument that he should be making at this point is, yes, you know what? It's only 10 prescription medications. We really need to do more. If we're going to do something, we're wasting our time, this, that. But that's not the argument he's making. He's making the argument that, no, $280 billion will be cut. And then he's also making the argument that the pharmaceutical companies, they're not going to do research now because they don't have that additional money. They don't have the additional money to do the research. I can guarantee you, we live in a capitalist society. If they don't want to do the research, if one pharmaceutical company doesn't want to do the research, guess what? There are plenty of other pharmaceutical companies waiting in line to get their shot to negotiate with Medicare. Okay, so it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, the arguments that he's making for not moving forward with this program or with the inflation. I mean, there are plenty of things that I think he could pick apart in the Inflation Reduction Act, but he's looking at Medicare and it's just, He could even attack the issue that they're calling it the Inflation Reduction Act. Will it really reduce inflation? And the thing is, the fact that you're calling it the Inflation Reduction Act, let it pass and see if anything happens. If nothing happens, that is something that you can use. But it's absolutely ridiculous. I want to know what you guys think about this. What do you think about Senator Scott saying that $280 billion will be cut from Medicare because they'll be saving $280 billion, which the American people will be saving $280 billion, and you can use that money for something else? I want to know what you guys think about this, and I'm going to cut this. I want to cut this video now, and I'm going to do a separate video about some of the other things that he was saying, because it's absolutely, I mean, the arguments have gotten so ridiculous now, and you have politicians, and make no mistake, and I talked a little bit about this a couple of days ago. Make no mistake, you have two sides when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. You have two sides. You have politicians that are for expanding Medicare. You have Democrats, for the most part, they're for expanding Medicare. They're for expanding Social Security. Then you have the other side. You have Republicans. They want to cut Medicare. They want to cut Social Security. And if you think I'm just making things up, look at the platforms. The platforms will tell you everything that you need to know. Listen to some of these politicians and what they're saying. Senator Scott, he's up front saying, look, we need to look at this program every 5 years. And if cuts need to be made, they need to be made. And I just talked about Senator Johnson. He was saying some of the same thing, but he wasn't saying 5 years. He was saying every year we need to reevaluate Social Security and Medicare. And when you reevaluate something, usually you cut it. You don't usually add to it. And so that's the reality when it comes to these politicians. Some of these politicians want to expand Medicare and Social Security, and some politicians, they want to cut it. And you need to watch those politicians, because the ones that want to cut it, privatize it, those are the ones that are going to affect all of this, because most of us will be receiving some sort of Social Security, some sort of Medicare in the future, and we want it to be there for us. And it will not be there for us if you start listening to some of these different politicians talk about, let's revisit this every year, let's revisit this every 5 years. It's just not going to be there. So I want to know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.